I suppose I would see myself very much as a sculptor. I make small and large-scale sculptures, but at the same time also a performance artist, and I work in drawing, performative interventions, very short, sharp, kind of event-based work, and photography. Fieldnotes, the exhibition, is really the sort of culmination of 3.5, 4 years' work. So I suppose the exhibition is about a sort of almost continuous workflow. So it's like kind of opening my brain and seeing what's happened in the last 4 years. The monkeys, they are loosely titled scavengers. It all started with finding myself living amongst animals on a short-term residency in Delhi. I had a studio there for a month in January a few years ago. That studio I more or less shared with resident monkeys. And I had a plan to make some completely different work, but they were so cheeky and they always sat outside the door or even sometimes kind of came in. So I just couldn't help kind of thinking about how we live with animals. And not any kind of animals, but I suppose animals we would think of as wild or wilder, and how they've adapted to live with us, and how we may or may not adapt to live with them. And then whilst I was sort of beginning to observe the monkeys and start making monkeys, and then I came back, I just continued. And then I looked at the foxes in my back yard, so to speak, and then it sort of all fell into place, and I looked at crows. And I sort of, the longer I worked on it, the more I sort of researched our cultural entanglement. And I came across Melanie Challenger's book on how to be animal. And that sort of really sort of clicked then into place that in order to save us and the planet, we need to rethink our value system in relation to living with the other. And the other being represented in this particular exhibition by the animals, the rocks, and the landscape, and other human beings. Climate change is on all our minds in some form, but then it kind of still feels like it's out there. Areas like Bangladesh or the southern hemisphere will be hit much sooner, much harder. So as an artist, you're trying to make work which encourages us to think, I suppose, more, not think, but have a kind of tactile, almost tactile relationship with the world out there, with the others. That's sort of where I suppose the sort of idea of representation comes in. So how can we relearn, or either by slowing down, what artists do a lot, or how can we relearn by being close enough to look into the other eyes? In that sense, I'd like to refer to some photographs I've made where I enacted, with the help of students from fine art, sort of scenarios in the land. So the photos you can see are from two very different parts of the world. One is one of the most arid parts of Europe, in southern Spain, in Almeria, and the other one is in Duffstone, just outside Manchester. And both of these landscapes we sometimes perceive as wild, but in fact they are the result of thousands of years of farming and handling of the land in some form or another. So the actions are, in a way, kind of performing to the layers and layers of our relationship with these particular geographies. Skep making the piece is actually called Best Done in Winter. In farming communities, there were times where outdoor work finished and you kind of retreated indoors, and indoors you did something for the next year. And skep is the terminology, or is the word used for beehives made out of straw. What I like about skep making is you'll do it in the round. It is a round object. It has to be done in the round, and it's accumulative. So when we have these workshops here, we're sitting in, it's like circle time, we're sitting in a circle and learn to move our body with the awkwardness of the material. Making something straight into a curve is not the easiest thing to do. And last workshop there were some beekeepers here. We also learned a lot about bees. So it's a way of it's thinking time, active thinking time. What do I want the audience to take away from the exhibition? Looking. An artist friend of mine said she really enjoyed the exhibition because it was like a lesson into looking, and looking as in observing and listening and kind of taking in, but also she felt it was a real exhibition which gave her a sort of idea of empowerment and hope. So I think it's an invitation to come here and then go away and enjoy what is out there in the world.